today's topic is going to be an interesting one. And I think it's one of those things that a lot of people are experiencing it or have experienced it, but somehow is on a kind of level. So I was now doing some small research, and I was curious. I typed, what percentage of men actually masturbate? So I scrolled down and I saw a study from the UK. Apparently, 96% of British men admitted to masturbating more than once within the last 12 months. So what was that saying now? 96%. In my opinion, if 96% are admitting to this thing, and that 4%, then they lie. They are lying.
I
That's a
want to see the
lot,
one for
man.
Australia. Let's see.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
72% of men in Australia have, no, 72%.
Have you seen?
So this
Wait.
stats, I think the stats are not correct. It says 72% of Australians masturbate, and then
72.
of men, and then 42% of the men in Australia have masturbated in the last year. I honestly think the numbers are not correct.
Why? Because it's low or it's high?
Hmm? No, because Pornhub released their, what do you call it, yearly stats, right? They post it
Mm.
online, and Australia ranks very high for watching porn.
Free, free
So,
internet.
I mean, it
Which
ranks
country?
very high.
Which country was number one?
I can't remember. Go Google it, you see it. But yeah, but
Bro,
like Australia
no
ranks very high.
no porn website where they follow
So I still I
for
still think
for Instagram.
see it's not even about following a porn website. It has nothing to do
Twitter.
with it. Just information that's out there.
So today's conversation will be real, it'll be respectful, it'll be raw, it'll be honest. It's just us. We're gisting, we're vibing with our community, talking about stuff that we know impacts you watching and all of you on this conversation as well. Now, I want to start with basically our thoughts and our experience growing up, like your first experience with masturbation. You don't have to give us like personal examples, just what you thought it was, how you came across it, and what you felt. I can go first because I know you will be. Everybody will be feeling
Very
some type of
weird
way.
thing to talk about.
Yes, that's and I want you to reflect on why you're feeling weird about the conversation. Because I asked you, Emmanuel, on a private call. I was like, I think I was it masturbation or something I asked
No,
you
it
about.
wasn't.
Okay,
You're
okay.
something else. But that one we cannot say it
I
here.
asked you about something else. However, this topics make people uncomfortable, and I want to dig and double click into why it's making people uncomfortable. My first experience with it, honestly, like it's not something that I have struggled with. But when I started thinking about it was in 100 level. So I had this final year student. He was 4 years ahead of me. And for some reason, one random night, this guy was just like, Adams, I have to share something with you. I was like, what is it? He was not telling me that he has an addiction to masturbation and he cannot help himself. Like it's bad. He was like, I need to do it at least 3 times, 4 times a day. Sometimes he used to use gallon. He has like it was a problem. And this guy was crying and talking to me. It's not a funny something. But in that moment, I didn't know what to tell him. I was a young boy. I had never experienced this. I'd never dealt with it. So I was thinking, why would this guy who's older than me, and we had friends, mutual friends that were older than me as well, but he felt comfortable talking to me because I think he felt like amongst all our friendship groups or group, I'll be the only one that wouldn't judge him. So I said, let's pray
Because you were
together.
because you were
No,
tall. Let's
Wait, you
pray
no,
said let's
together.
people pray together.
that's look. I couldn't think of what to tell him because he was crying and confiding in me.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what advice to give or where to go. I was just like, Mo, pray. Because in Nigeria, if
Adam,
you don't know the answer, now God you go turn to. So we prayed about it, but it did not help. He
Wait till
wasn't
you
doing
pray.
it.
And wait till
So
you pray.
this guy was a therapist.
I swear.
That's probably the first and the last time you prayed.
No. Guy, I mean, this guy, good Christian
Oh,
boy. So
God.
anywho, now I've been like that's when I started thinking more about it, and I used to ask people. A lot of people I ask are uncomfortable talking, but yet they struggle with it. Some don't struggle, some can control themselves, but at least they do it. So mine is, did you guys ever feel like a religious guilt growing up? Because I know you people are grown ups now, you don't do it, you're married and whatnot. But when you were growing up as a young teenager or a 20-year-old boy, after doing it, was there that religious guilt afterwards? Or did you feel like it was the sin?
No, I didn't feel like it was a sin, but I think there is, and look, I might be very, very wrong about this. Before I even speak, I might be very wrong, right? But I think there is a spiritual aspect to this thing. So if you think about, um, if you look at monks, right, they don't do these things, and there's a reason why they don't do it. People who are trying to recover from injuries, especially athletes, they avoid sex and alcohol. It's like, go and check it. They actually avoid sex and alcohol. People who are trying to focus in life avoid sex also. If you're trying to achieve a certain goal and you need full focus on your energy and creativity to be at its peak, you actually avoid sex. Now, I cannot give you a biological
Is that for both
explanation.
genders? Is that for both genders or
No,
just
for men,
the
just for
men?
men, just for men. This is very, very specific to men. Sorry, not women. I don't know about women, but I can say for men. And there's a reason why it's very specific to men. I think it's because, think about it, right? What is what comes out from sex creation? You create something. So there's an, like, think about what your body needs to do to create that substance that would create a human being. I'm no, I'm serious. I'm very serious about this, right? There's a lot of work that goes into that, and that is why most people, you have sex and you're drained afterwards.
I'm trying to
Because
get to your point.
so my point is, so that's the physical part of it, how it affects you. Now, spiritually, I think that guilt Adams is talking about, right? That guilt, you're saying it's religious and all that. I kind of feel like even if you knew nothing about the Bible, you would still feel that guilt. It's a guilt that you cannot explain. 90% of people will tell you they felt a bit weird after doing it. But having sex and releasing, you don't feel that guilt. This particular thing I'm talking about now is part of, I was just going online and checking to see like stuff about this thing. And many people said the same thing. Then there's this doctor, what's his name? Oz on CNN. He said something about when you have sex, how your body reacts to sex with a human being versus masturbating. He said it's actually two different releases, and biologically, your body is reacting differently to it. So this was on CNN now, it's not me making it up. It's from a doctor that said that. It's a doctor that said that.
Mhm.
So if your body knows that it's an artificially induced, what should I call it now? Like you artificially made yourself release stuff, right?
Mm.
Then should you be doing it? That's the question. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm asking, like, should you actually still be doing that? Because it's, he said something about the amount of, oh, this is getting too yucky now.
No, that's why, like, you see, this is not safe space. We listen, we don't judge.
There's not. It's not even about judging, stuff, but what no, no, quite bummed. So, anyways, what he said was your body reacts differently to it. So for me, I think I would just conclude by saying I think there's a spiritual aspect to it, and that guilt that people feel might be something else that has nothing to do with the Bible, that just has to do with you as a human being feeling. Because why do people do it in the first place? What's the reason for doing it? Isn't it? It's we might say, oh, I wasn't addicted to it, but why did you have to do it? Like, why do you feel? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why
I'll
must
tell
you
you
do
why.
it?
I'll tell you why people do it.
Why?
So I did a studies, you
Mm-hmm.
know, why people do masturbation. You know, I attended all boys school in my junior secondary, and a lot of things happened in that school, a lot, you know. But if you were caught, expulsion straight away. But so many things happened. That was when I knew about homosexuality, masturbation, and all those sort of. You know how boys' school are. You know that would be my first experience with that one. Because growing up, mom and dad, strong within members, pastors, and all of that. So the things that I knew were not from home. It was from neighborhood and school. So that was my first experience hearing about that. And obviously, you know how kids are. Once you hear about something, you want to try it, you know. But then again, I want to tell you why people do this thing. Emmanuel, I hear you, I understand, you know, what you mean and all of that. But then there is a reason why people do it. I don't know
Can,
what Adam
can,
wants to
can,
say, but can I
can
say
I?
the reasons
Okay,
why
say the
people do
reason.
this thing?
Yeah.
Number one will be sexual health. It can help individuals understand their bodies better, leading to improved sexual experiences and comfort with
That
one's
just
own
sounds like
sexuality.
ChatGPT. What the fuck, man?
Stress relief. That's
The
just
fuck?
that's just research.
So praise,
You know?
praise, praise. This is the answers we get on the internet. Actually,
But
all
if
these
you're doing
things.
but if you're doing research, where are you doing research from? Where are you
No,
getting
no,
I
your
but
think
input
I
from?
think the research is already skewed, to be honest, because the world we live in now is trying to normalize everything.
I'm trying to create
Even
a
stuff.
story. I'm trying to create a story arc here, right? When you are doing research, you will see what is available. Then you now balance it against your personal experience. So there you now see what is relevant and what is irrelevant. Now, doctor cannot just go and say everything he's thinking. He has to have studies to back it. So we'll leave
Let's,
ChatGPT
you know
and
what? You know the best option, Adams. Let's ask one question here. After doing it, how did you feel? Did you feel fulfilled or not? It's just a yes or no question.
There's always a guilt thing that comes
It's
with it.
a yes or no question. It's a yes or no
But I've
question.
answered, but there are times that it's always a guilt thing
Did
that
you
comes
feel
out of it. Like
fulfilled?
no, but anyways, you answer praise and then I'll answer.
you obviously you feel okay, you feel relief, you feel like you sort of just let it out, stress or whatever, you feel good, but then there's always this guilt that comes afterwards. That's why you hide to do it.
You hide in your house?
If you are living with someone, if you are roommates with Adam, are you gonna do it in the open? When you were living with Adam and you were doing it, were you doing it in the open?
I was always hearing it.
Adam,
Anyways, you
Adam,
see,
when
yeah.
you were doing what you were doing when you were living with him, were you doing it in the open? You go hide
The
somewhere,
funny
runner.
thing is, look, I'm gonna speak freely, right? I used to, but then I stopped a long time ago, and there was a reason I stopped. It was in uni, and it's because I was becoming so. Let me quickly summarize the journey, right? I went through a phase where I was trying to be celibate, so there was no masturbation, no woman, no nothing. That's when I stopped, but then I never went back to it. However, I feel like my case is different. In the beginning phase, when I was much younger, there was no guilt. It was joy. Like when you do it and you finish, I'm like, yes, they are daddy. You feel relaxed. It's almost like a massage. That
Mm.
was my own experience. And then there was now the religious element where you're now like, did I just commit a sin? Right? Then there was another phase where I went through where I was becoming dangerously self-sufficient because when I do it, I don't need nobody. Like, what are you going to give me? And then I saw somewhere, I think it was somewhere on social media, that the guy recommended, oh, you need to just let one out before you go on a date. It makes your brain sharp, it makes this, it makes that. And I swear, I was not using his philosophy. So before I go on a date, I just let one rip. And then I go on the date and there is no,
No
and truly there was
connection.
no like, no, not no connection. There was no
No
urge.
urge
There was no,
to want to have sex.
yes.
So
So
he
it
can
was
sense the
more,
energy that this person doesn't want to have sex with me
no, doesn't need
because
to. Like, it's not
it's not you're not giving
because,
up vibes
yes,
that you want to.
desperate vibes.
Mm.
So that
Yeah.
was my own experience and my own journey. However, the question I wanted to ask you, Praise, and I feel like you're in the best position to answer this. Do you think it has any impact on committed relationships?
Obviously, yeah, yeah. You just like it makes you. I mean, I before this time I've had conversations with with some youths and all of that. If you're in a committed relationship and then you are engaging in masturbation and stuff like that, you don't feel sexual urge with your partner just because you think that you are self-reliant, you can look after yourself in that sense, you know. So it does have that negative effect in that relationship right there. And
So you're saying,
studies
yeah.
have proven this too.
So it's equivalent to virtual cheating, or not even
100%.
virtual.
Oh, that's, I mean, yeah, it is virtual. Yeah, you have a girlfriend somewhere in Pornhub. Yeah. So it's just very straightforward. There's no theory. It's just what it is.
So but the question now is should you do it to prevent yourself from doing it outside with somebody else? Isn't it like an advantage?
That is why I was telling you why people do what they do. A lot
No, but
a lot of women that I hear, if they want to be realistic, if they want to tell the truth, they will say, it sort of just help with their menstrual pain relief too. That this is part of the research that I saw. Like it does help. I did not talk to anybody about this, but then again, the research shows,
so
and
let's
then there are
okay, so
figures on that
let's put
research
it
that
this
it
way
does
now.
help.
There's the part where you people have sex because they can't sleep, right? And then you have sex and then boom, you slept off.
Mm.
And then you could want
That's
to sleep off,
that's stress.
right?
That's stress
Now
relief.
that's where stress relief comes in.
Mm.
But let's say during the day you decide to do that. Now, what is the reason for doing that if it's not an addiction? Because you have to, there's a reward system, right? You're doing it to get that dopamine hit at the end of the day. It's
Yes.
why you're doing it. So it doesn't matter if you do it 10 times. The act itself is what I'm talking about.
What's your question?
My question, I think it's an addiction on just on different levels for people. Like in some way, everybody's a slave to it. Only if you don't do it. As long as you do it, then in some way you're a slave to it. And the guilt comes from knowing that that thing, like it comes from, it's like that, that post not clarity thing, right?
Mhm.
I think it's the same thing with masturbation, but in a different way that we cannot explain.
You know something I experienced when
What?
I schooled in the East. The Igbo people or the Easterners, they have a different reaction to sex, prostitutes, masturbation. They're a bit more liberated than people that like me that grew up in the North because we're very
Mm.
conservative. So in the East, they don't even shy about it. They call it boncha, onye boncha. So that's when I knew some people have one arm bigger than the other because of excessive exercise on one hand. So anywho, you see like somebody will walk into your room and be like, I beg ma borrow your cream. I want to go do quick one. Like it was not they weren't shy about it. In uni, they'll just come borrow your cream, go, omo, that one good though. And it was normal. It wasn't stigmatized the way in the
Yeah.
north is stigmatized. So I'm saying that look, I know that there's many ways to look at this from different perspectives. There's the religious, there's the relationship, then there's the addiction. Now, anything is bad when it's an addiction. If you drink too much, it's bad. If you smoke too much, it's bad. But in
You
moderation, it might
see,
actually help your mental well-being, right?
mm,
It might keep you balanced. So I know that everybody, when you talk about it, wants to talk about the negative because they feel like that's how society wants you to talk about it. Can we talk about the positive elements, the positive sides of it for a sec? Just for those in the comment section that are pro masturbation.
Say the positives would be first one is stress relief, right? Second one, part of trying to read about this thing, I found out that married people masturbate more than single people. So if so, I think back to what I just said to Chris. I think it actually helps people stay in their relationships. It might affect the relationship at some point. I can't be 100% sure, but I mean, you've seen Don, right? He did cheat
Yeah.
on her, but he was still with her. He never slept with someone else.
No, but there's a difference there. Just to high level for those who have not seen the movie. This is a guy who was addicted to porn. The masturbation was just a side effect of porn.
But the problem is, everybody who masturbates at
watches
some
porn,
point
masturbate.
watches porn.
Oh, is that how it works?
Almost everybody
I
has
didn't know.
watched porn and masturbated. So, so when you look at it from that perspective now, then you would now say, okay, if the person who is married is just doing it because maybe stress relief, the partner is not interested, or the partner is going through some stuff, then that's fine. That's an advantage. But I think if it gets to the point where you're doing it and not, you get to dungeons level where you're doing it with the images on the internet and then you're not having sex with your partner anymore, then that's when it becomes a problem. Otherwise, if it never gets to that point, I think that's an advantage because you wouldn't have to cheat on your partner or anything. What other advantage could it be? I think the
Prostate
other one is
for men.
that
Yeah,
prostate one. I look,
propaganda.
I've heard about it, but I think it's again part of just trying to condition us to, normalize these things. Because think about it. If we say prostate, right, and what they said is that frequent ejaculation would reduce the risk.
Reduce the
Not
risks.
proven, but that's what they think.
No,
So
a few studies have proven that
yeah,
though.
which is fine, which is good. So, but then what about the monks who are not having sex? I'm not saying
How many months do we have?
there's heaps of monks that are not having sex, right? There's heaps of them who don't have sex. They just stay like that. Why haven't they had all these things? Then let's go back to right. If you don't release, if you don't have sex, you're not doing all those things. That's the energy your body is using to create semen for it to release out stays in your body, right? But your body doesn't just keep all these things inside. It uses it for something else. It just doesn't stay there. If you're trying to heal from an injury, for example, then it's going to push all that energy there to heal that thing. If you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to do stuff. That's where that energy goes. So it's not like it's sitting there dormant doing nothing. So for the monks now, it might be doing something else. I don't know, but I know that for athletes, right, for regular people, that energy they're using to create semen and release and do all this stuff, if it's not being used for
You
that
know,
purpose,
you
then
know,
it goes to some other part of the body.
I agree with you. I agree with you in terms of energy flow and all those things. However, our body biologically it sends us signals. When you're hungry, there's a pain in your tummy that you feel to send a signal to your brain to remind you to feed it, to eat food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So similar to when you are horny, it sends a signal to your brain. You now say, okay, is there anybody available? For those that don't have partners, they now have to partner with their right hand or their left hand. In
So
Emmanuel's case, it's his right hand.
So how do you know?
so
But
so
Adam,
what
but
I'm saying
okay,
is
sorry.
biologically, your
Mm.
body is sending you a signal. It's telling you what it needs in a certain situation. So I'm saying that I'm arguing for the pro side now that it means that your body needs this thing. That's why it's sending you that signal to be able to get rid of the semen so it can produce fresh ones.
Okay, so now I true. I'm not saying it's not true, but I think the question you have to ask yourself is when what made your body trigger that feeling? What made you horny in the first place? Right? That's my question. And let's say, okay, people, you go to bed, you sleep, you wake up, hard dick. Cool, no problem, right? But if you've never watched porn, you've never seen a naked woman or anything, I think 9 out of 10 you just go pee, go back to sleep, or go to work, right? But I'm not saying you shouldn't have sex. You don't have to if you don't want to, because you said when you feel like doing it, your body is telling you to do something, and then you go ahead and do it. Remember that every time you do something, the more you do that thing, the
Reinforce
more
behavior.
exactly right. So it's like your brain is wiring itself that every time you want this, then this is expected output. You want, and then you want, and then your brain keeps on wiring itself like that to keep doing it more, and then it becomes a it becomes what do you call it when something is now subconscious. It's like you just wake up and you do it. Like it's like you've memorized this behavior to the point where you're no longer in control of it anymore. You feel like doing it, you go into autopilot. Boom, boom, boom. You've done it. Yeah. So if you don't do it, then at some point you will become like the monks who are not doing it. So again, it's
Are you a
about choice.
monk now?
No, I'm not a monk. I'm not a monk. But what I'm trying to say is
You don't
that
have to
I
answer me. I was just messing
I
with you.
think I would say that you're better off not doing it. To be honest, you're better off not. You're better off doing like as rarely as possible.
All right. I want to hear from Praise now because Praise, Emmanuel has said you're better off not doing it. Let's assume there's some guys who are watching this video and they are struggling with it, right? They can't help themselves. Their body is sending them signals every night. How can they overcome this signal that is coming to their brain to do something?
You just have to channel the energy and do something else. I don't think there is any, aside from the thing that we've mentioned here, which could be why people do it, but I don't think there's any positive benefit from engaging in masturbation. I think it's just try and just channel it to something else, man. You could just do something else. Go to the gym if you want to. Talk to someone
So
on the phone.
I feel like
I just
sorry to interrupt. I don't know. I feel like you guys are being disingenuous or
no.
this
Why
or
how?
do you
being
say?
we all do
Let me
like
let me give you an example, Adam. Let me give you an answer to
yes.
that question, right? So let's put it this
Read
way: we've
the
all
book.
tried to drop habits at some point in our lives, right?
Yes.
Everybody has tried it, and I think at some point you struggle to drop some habits. Some people could be masturbation, procrastination. It could be anything. So if somebody is struggling with something like that, so with something like that, how would I stop it? I think the first thing I would
Why you
Yeah, your
cut?
audio
I'm
You
is
cut? You
cutting
cut?
in
You
and
cut? You
out.
cutting off?
I'm cutting off. Oh, sorry, it's my AirPods. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't do this one from Kemat.
Yeah. So okay. So I think you need to acknowledge the fact that you're doing it, right? And secondly, you need to act, say to yourself that this thing I'm doing has taken control of me. You have to agree with yourself that it's taking control of you and you have no control over it. Once you've admitted that fact, I believe it would come with a lot of shame and guilt. Your brain can always rewire itself.
Adam,
So if you go,
Adam is not happy with this your response. Adam
It's
just want us to say
it,
that.
it,
Adam
it's
just
the
want us to
it,
say that we
what do
did
you
it
want to
this
say?
morning. That we'll be doing it every day. He said
No,
we are so
okay. You see,
disingenuous.
why I think so is because I think a lot of people on the internet give fluffy advice, and us as Daper are supposed to be community who they speak the language that our people understand. We get down to the grassroots, right? So every behavior you have, like you said, first accept that it's a problem, and then you now start to figure out what the triggers are for that problem. So I drink a lot of
Yeah.
coffee, maybe because I don't sleep well. If I sleep well, I will drink less coffee. I boncha a lot. For those who don't know what boncha is, Google it. I boncha a lot. How do I stop it? Reduce my consumption of porn. What are my triggers? Waiting they make me do this thing. Why is my body sending me this signal? Oh, when I see a girl with big boobs, it triggers something. Okay, avoid it. Girl with big boobs walking, look away. So it's all those small, those kind of practical steps that I'm hoping to hear.
So,
Not, yeah,
but I think somebody who is struggling with it, I think there's levels to these things, right? There's just the exploration once in a while. Oh, there's no girl to sleep out. You just and you're thinking it would work out, and then you just come back home, do it, pass out. There's the stress relief part where you just want to go to bed, you do it, you sleep off, right? And then there's the part where you start watching porn, and then
okay.
so that
Please remove your headphones if it's not working. Carry on your money, buy Tesla, call it the buy fake.
Thank you. Original AirPods though. So can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Better.
So and then it gets to that point where you're watching porn and then you're doing it, right? Now I think how do can you put it? So it gets to the point where you start to know porn stars, you know their names, and then you start having favorites.
Like
Okay.
crazy.
Now when it gets to that point
Come
now
on,
you're addicted to porn, right? And then porn makes you masturbate. Then it gets to the point where you have the mental picture of the porn in your head. So you don't even need to watch the porn anymore. You just do it. So now it's no longer porn making you masturbate. Your brain is wired to masturbate. It has nothing to do with the porn anymore. You are a sex addict. That's what you are at that point. How do you stop it? So it's an urge that would come up regardless, right?
Not,
So
not, not, not even sex addict because you're not actually doing sex. You're just masturbating. So
it's
you're
it, it,
masturbation
it,
addict.
it's
Yeah.
because the person, if he sees those porn stars, he will still sleep with them, right? Easily, he will still sleep with them. One day experience. Anyways, let me continue. So I
I can't
think
even
at
read
that
comments.
point,
I don't even know
Adams,
what's going on.
it has nothing to do with porn anymore. So if somebody is struggling, I think that's where they say someone is struggling, right? It's that there's no there's the trigger is you, it's your brain, it's no longer something outside you, it's inside you now. So you do it, and then you're done, and then the next day you feel like doing it again, and then you do it. I saw this clip on the internet where the guy said quitting masturbation, right? And then it says day 2 of not masturbating, and then the next clip says day 1 of not masturbating, and then the next clip says 24 hours of not masturbating, and then the next one says 6 hours, and next one says 20 minutes, next one says 10 minutes. So he went from 2 days of not doing it, and then he dropped down to 10-minute intervals. What? So it's the same thing, right? He lost control again, and he went back to doing it. So it's at that point, it's in your head, and when it comes into your head, you have to rewire your brain. It has nothing to do with what's outside you at this point. It's your brain. You have to rewire it. How do you rewire your brain? Go online, read about neuroplasticity, do some research on it. It's a very good explanation. It gives you a good one.
As
Every
soon as they
time,
go online, they don't enter incognito mode.
you know,
Baba,
no, but
you go online, go post, don't write anything.
it's
And the
an
kind of reels
easy
and
way
thing
to
that you get
rewire
is
your brain
just
to do anything, right? So if you want to drop a habit, replace it with something, but you have to understand the pattern. When that urge comes up to do it, how do you take your mind off it? As long as you're able to take your mind off that thing, look for something else to replace it with. Every maybe just no, you have the oil. In fact, have everything in your house. Why would you stop buying oil?
what's the comment? I can't even read.
Monday
I
said
can you
it.
read comments?
So they said so maybe they need to stop buying oil. Oil
So
is for rich
I
people, Seth. Most
think
people,
you
most
have
of
to replace it with another habit. And Monday said something about get married, get a girlfriend. Actually, that's not the solution. That's a very, very bad option because you
impractical.
become like dungeon. Because nothing is ever enough for you. It Adams is like when you say somebody is self-sufficient, living alone. Anybody coming into your life is competing with
With
give
your space.
exactly. So imagine a human being competing with what's inside your brain.
See, if you're
All right,
struggling
all
with
right.
masturbation, just speak to Adam.
Honestly, like, look, it sounds like a joke. Please, if you're struggling, send me a DM because I didn't necessarily struggle with it, but I had a phase that it was a frequent part of my routine. I went through that phase for years and then I was able to stop. It wasn't once, right? But then it took a while. So please, if you're struggling, reach out. We'll figure this thing out. Like, we don't have all the answers. That's why we come on live to discuss these things so that as a community we can figure out
That's
solutions
why.
to our
That's
problems.
why Daniel is never grateful to you because you helped him.
Has it
And they
stopped?
tell you,
I think
uh,
Daniel stopped. I think maybe 2 weeks
yeah,
ago.
I thought it was
so
yesterday.
she's doing.
Stop.
Oh, he went back again. So in 2 weeks now he's doing day one of quitting.
Shout out to
No,
Daniel,
shout
man.
out to everybody. Like, if it's working for you, perfect, good and fine. But if you feel like it's impacting the quality of your life, let's figure something out together as a community. And then next week we're going to be talking about the Burkina Faso president. Apparently, some Africans love him, or a lot of people love him. Even Monday.
I love him so
Okay,
much. So
fantastic. So I,
much.
I didn't even know
So
much about him until Monday was
much.
giving me his
Hmm.
gist.
The guy is a
People are saying
boss
that
man.
he's what Africa needs as a leader. So you see, that's why you need to subscribe to Daper TV. We talk about masturbation, African rulers, religion, whatever
Does
it is you want.
masturbation affect your stamina
Perfect
as a man? What does stamina mean?
cocktail. So next week, come, stay tuned for political conversation. Praise. This is where you need to shine because that's your forte.
Serious.
And if you're
Monday, we're going
Monday
to
should come
invite
on
you.
now.
I need to
Yeah,
Let's
tell.
see.
I
he's
need to make
Monday's
people.
guy.
I need to let people
Wait,
understand
wait,
why
wait, wait, wait.
democracy is so.
Monday, praise and will.
Mm, I
And
can
then we
sit that one
compare
out.
Burkina Faso's president to Tinubu.
That would be a good conversation.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Mm.
What's
don't
his
tell
name?
me I'm finished.
Ibrahim
I don't have
Traore,
15
right?
episodes.
Yeah, Brian
Yeah,
Traore, yeah.
Traore.
Correct guy, young boy. You do well.
The guy said he wants to conduct election. No, no, no. Let me not start. I think
Yes.
it's already.
Save it for next week.
I have 10 o'clock. All right, guys.
All right. It's been lovely. Please protect your right hands and stop subscribing to oil. We love you. Love you, boys.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, go to the public.